If you're a small business owner or if you're looking to start a small business, I'm going to be listing 5 discussion points on what you can think about or what you need to be thinking about before starting a business or even at whatever stage you are in your business. As this will help with increasing your sales, increasing your growth, and giving you more stability in the course of running your small business. So before we get into the video, I'm going to be doing some packing orders I'm going to be shipping today. But I thought I'll turn the camera on and then we can have a discussion while I'm trying to get the orders packed. So first things first, you need to think about your income and expenses. Where do you want to get paid? How much do you want to be for the business and how much you want to be for yourself? Because you need to be able to separate your business expenses from your personal expenses. You're not the same entity. It's two different things. Your business is your business and you are an individual that exists outside the business. So first thing you want to think about is if you're do you want to open a business account to start, or do you want to start with a separate personal account, see how it goes, and then you can go into opening a business account if you're comfortable or if you're confident that that's definitely what you want to do. You can open an account and let all your income go into the account for your business, specifically for your business. You shouldn't mix it up with yourself, because then when it comes to doing your end of the year corporation tax or VAT, whichever one you have to do, you kind of know what is for the business and what is for yourself. And then you can decide how much you want to pay yourself. At the start, it might be a bit difficult to pay yourself because you're still trying to grow the business or trying to put things or resources in place to get business to where it needs to be. So you might not be paying yourself a lot, or you might be paying yourself nothing at all. So yes, having a separate account, tracking your income, tracking your expenses, all of that is so important, because like in the UK system, if you're running a business and you get to I think 85k threshold or something, then you need to be VAT registered if you're not already VAT registered. If you're not, or if you get past that threshold and you're not registered, then it just becomes an issue. So knowing how much you're making at the end of the month, and it also helps because then you know if your business is profitable or if your business is not profitable. The second point is building a community. Now, I cannot overemphasize the importance of building a community when you start running a business. Reason being, your community is going to be the people that will be driving your business to where it needs to be or where you want it to be. So it's so important that you're actually building a community. And then when I say building a community, what I mean is you get on social media, which means first of all you need to know what name you want to call the brand or what name you want to call the business. If it's a product-based business or if it's a service-based business, you want to know what you're going to be calling the business, and then you're making sure that when you're creating a name, it matches all your social media accounts. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube, everywhere needs to be the same name. You also need to verify that the name doesn't already exist. You can do this by checking on Google and seeing if there's someone that has the same name, and then you can tweak and twist it. But yeah, creating a name that cuts across all platform, and it's just for consistency purposes. It just makes sense to have the same name across all platforms. Then you create an account where you can start posting your day in the life, what you get up to behind the scenes, because people like to be invested in these things. They want to see how a founder is building a brand, how the brand has been growing from when they started to whatever level they are. So having that community showing behind the scenes. If you're launching a product, you want to show the process of why you thought about making the product, the process of getting it done, getting the content ready, images, pictures, whatever, if it's a product-based business. So all those kind of things are things people would like to see. From what I've noticed, those are things I like to watch, and I see a lot of other people that like to watch other founders, and there's so many of them on YouTube which I follow and I tend to just watch every so often. So that's definitely something you want to be able to put out there. You also need to be able to tell your story. Why did you start the brand? What inspired you or motivated you to build a business? All these kind of things are things you want to be able to talk about on your social media, because people are invested. they start to talk about the brand, they start to share with their friends, they start to share with their network. There are brands that I know that their community is like, it's almost like a cult. People see themselves wearing it and it's almost like they've built a friendship. Kind of community is so vital, it's so important. um when you're building a business or at whatever stage you are, it's always nice that you're building something that people feel like they're part of, that people feel like they're invested in, and that people feel like they want to follow and see what it's about. Third point I would want to touch on: creating or building an email list. This is so important because if you get people following your page or any of your social media platforms, you can have a link to your newsletter app or site where people can go up and sign up to. So there's so many newsletter providers. There's MailChimp. That's the one I started with many years ago, but I've moved over to Omnisend. So that's the email provider I currently use. I also know Clavio is quite a popular one. People can go on there, sign up to your newsletter, and if you're doing like a new drop, you can send them emails with pre-launch during when it goes live and post-launch. If you have any deals coming up, or if you have any information at all you'd want to share with your audience or with your community, having a newsletter is so important, so important. So that's point number 3: building an email list. Because say you're running ads, for example, you can always, or one of your posts goes viral and people come onto your page to look at you. You want to be able to direct them to somewhere where they're able to stay and stick there for the long haul. So email list, definitely something to look into, or definitely something to consider when building a business, either product-based business or service-based business. That's the first, like, very important to get on there. Even before you even have the products, like, get your email list, because then you can start to build drive, you can start to build momentum. Before the product even goes live, you already have a long list of people waiting to see when it goes live and things like that. So having an email list is so important. It cannot be overemphasized. Fourth thing we need to think about when starting a business or running a business is the platform you're going to be selling on. So I touched on this very briefly before. So when I said choosing a name that is quite unique, to like the name you want to use across all platforms, this also needs to reflect on the website or the page you're going to be using to run your business. So when I first started, I started with using Etsy. In case you do not know, or if you've not heard about Etsy, it's a third-party platform where it's mostly, when it first started, it was mostly for like handmade goods and stuff, but now it's like for everything. Or people tend to use it for everything now. So I started selling on Etsy. I still do sell on Etsy, but it's not my main platform anymore. And it used to be my main and only platform then. But Etsy fees and all of that, the competition on Etsy is quite high. So I just, and the information on there is not exactly your own, because you cannot retarget those customers, you cannot really do much. So I moved from, no, I moved, I'm still on Etsy, but not as frequent. I created my own website. There are so many e-commerce platforms that you can use to create websites. There is Shopify, which is quite popular. I think is one of the most popular e-commerce platform. There is Wix. There is a few others. I do not know the other ones, so I just use Shopify and it does what it needs to do, and I'm quite happy with what I get out of Shopify. So I use that to create my website. But the thing with creating your website is you need to drive your own traffic by yourself. The difference with using Etsy is when people come on there, they're probably just coming to actually buy something. So they can search things and then your shop can come up and they're able to purchase something from you. But on Shopify, you have to drive the traffic by yourself, which means you have to post on social media for people to see what your page is about, or you can use paid ads to drive traffic to your site, which works. Those are things that we tend to do. We use both paid ads and we use normal organic ads to get people to our Shopify site. The other thing we did was we copied most of our emails. So the customers that bought from us before, we went into Etsy, copied all their emails, their names, everything, like downloaded the spreadsheets, and then uploaded it to Shopify. So that way, we've already started with having audiences and customers, and we also like just added them to our newsletter list. And the ones that didn't want to be on the list, that's fine. They could just unsubscribe. It wasn't really a big deal. So yeah, that's what we use, or that's how we started with getting eyeballs on our websites. Just people from Etsy that have purchased from us before, which worked out quite well. And then the next thing you need to be able to do is to figure out your shipping. So depending on the country you're based in, do you want to only ship locally, or do you want to be able to ship to different parts of the world? So when we first started, we only used to ship within the UK, but now we ship like worldwide. What I did first was I took the item, went into the post office, weighed it just to get an idea of how much it was going to cost, and then use that price to add to the shipping cost I was creating on my website. But a lot of things have changed now. A lot of things you can do online. You don't need to go into the post office to figure that out. You can get scale from Amazon. So I spoke about this in my last video. You can get a scale from Amazon, and then you can weigh the package, and then you can go on. So say you're using, what's it called now, Royal Mail, for example, and you can go on there, put the weight of the item, and then it will tell you how much it's going to cost to whatever country you're shipping to. That way you're able to gauge what you want your shipping cost to be. If you want the shipping cost to be part of the cost of the item, that's fine. If you want the shipping costs to be separate, so the customer pays it separately, that's still fine. So that's the option we go for. We want the customer to pay it separately from the cost of the item. So all of that can be figured out online, and you can ship to whatever part of the world. You do not need to restrict yourself to one location, unless of course your product is something that's you don't want to send outside your destination country. That's fine. But yeah, there's so many platforms you can use to figure out your shipping. Royal Mail, if you're UK based, to ship within the UK. There is DHL that you can use to ship worldwide. There is UPS, you can use to ship worldwide. Parcel Force, there's like the list is endless. If you go on Google, you're able to find out all that information, and then set your shipping up and start shipping that way. The other thing which I think is quite important is the products you're going to be selling, because if you if you build a nice community and following, you get your newsletter all set up, you get your website all set up, and then you've not figured out your product, then I think then it is going to be really hard. So knowing if you so when I first started, I used to make all the products myself, but as time went on, I had to get a tailor because things started to get like really busy. So I had to get a tailor to make a lot of my stuff for me. So we've got at least 10 tailors now that we work with that will produce so I'll design the item. Sometimes I can make the sample depending on the complexity of the item. And then the tailor can liaise with the rest of the people he's working with, and they can create the products. Then they get it shipped to me. So you can also decide what country you want the item to be made in. I know quite a lot of people make in so many different countries without having to name any. So that is something to think about. You also do like test samples, see what works, if you need to make changes, which is something I had to do like when I first started. There's a lot of changes to the samples. Even till now, we still do quite a lot of changes to samples. A lot of samples don't even end up going live on the site because either it did not come out well or it wasn't to my taste. And obviously, when you have a standard you have to uphold for your brand, you do not just want to make nonsense. So you want that the product or the final end result of what you're making is up to standard, which is very important. It always has to be up to standard. So yeah, finding the right manufacturer for your business, finding what works for you is so important in trying to get the business going. So yeah, those are the 5 things that if I had to start all over again, or if you're starting, or if you're already into the business and you're still trying to make changes to, those are things to think about. Hopefully if you enjoyed the content of this video. If you have, you know what to do. Please like, share, subscribe, click on the bell icon so when I post any upcoming videos, you get notified. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye.